My name's Linda, and this is my sister, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. Hola, everyone, and welcome to Cinco de Mayo at Casita Linda on Girls Night In online. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day and joining us for a fun little recipe of sopes and a mezcal cocktail, because we all know we need a little alcohol during quarantine to get us by. So I hope you guys have fun putting this together, get all of your ingredients ready, and we will get started in just a moment.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the sopes. So the sopes are based off of a corn mix, same stuff that you can find at the grocery store that you make tortillas with. And so I have a cup here already measured out with 2 tablespoons of salt. This is a very basic sope recipe. There's a lot of fun things you can do with it. Some people add salt, some people don't, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in this bowl. And in my recipe online, I did say that it's a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of boiling hot water. The boiling is not necessary, but I find it easier to bring the mixture together. I did find that sometimes I do need over a cup of hot water. So I'm going to start off with just a little bit. This is probably a cup that I put in there, but we need a spoon because it's hot. If you're using room temperature water, it just means that you're just going to use your hands a little bit longer. But it doesn't take much to cool down. So we're going to go ahead and mix that. And while I'm mixing, we're going to get started on our chile for the beans, our pepper for the beans over here.
So what I'm going to do, I have here just 1 raw jalapeno. You can use, I know the recipe called for 1 to 2 jalapenos. It really depends on what you're looking for as far as spiciness. Jalapeno is absolutely not necessary, but if you'd like to add a little kick, we're just using 1 today. So what I'm going to do is just cut it in half. Very carefully. So what I'm going to do here, I already have a little bit of oil heating up. So we're going to put the seed side up into the oil. Use my reach.
There's a little bit of oil already pre-cooked. Preheated. You want medium to high heat for the peppers to roast. Doesn't take too long, but and also we did put on there, you can use different varieties of peppers depending on what kind of spice you like. This is what we love to taste in our beans, in our refried beans.
I am also adding a pinch of salt. I do have a more coarse grind, but if you don't have that available, just regular salt is fine. You can do like 1 to 2 pinches just on top of the peppers while they're roasting, just to kind of get everything going. So I'm going to do 2 salt. Just around. We're just going to move it around, make sure the oil meets the peppers. We're just going to let that chill for a little bit while we mix up the masa.
So very important while you're making the dough for the tortillas or for the sopes, you add a little bit of water at a time, because what you don't want is a sticky dough. You don't ever want it to stick onto your hand. So a good way to test it out, every time you want to add water, just kind of make it a ball and feel it out. This one's pretty soft, and but still needs a little bit more flexibility. You can I can post pictures after this too, but you just want it to be very, very soft, because in the end, you're going to be making balls out of them and shaping them into little discs. And what you don't want to see too much of is a lot of cracking. A little bit of cracking is okay, and as long as it can stick together, but that's kind of the texture that you want. So I've already had some masa prepared. I'll show you that. In the meantime, I'm gonna pull one of these peppers out. Let's just cut it a little bit more. Cut it into one.
Touch a little hot oil.
So what we're doing, just because of our pan right here, is just taking a little bit of time to get hot. You really want these soft, the peppers. So we're just gonna cut them so that they just roast a little bit faster. They probably take like 5 minutes to get completely roasted to taste. So what we can do is put these aside for now.
What you want to look for is a change in color on the outside of the skin as well. As soon as you see kind of like a lighter green, almost like it looks like it's about to shed its skin a little bit, that's when you are starting to get closer to that roasting point. You want them to be soft, but
so we're just going to leave one in there for the purpose of showing you the steps. You're going to wait for the peppers to be completely roasted before putting in the beans. These are already washed and boiled. So there's different methods to how you want to do your beans. Some people like to soak them overnight before they boil them. So these are completely boiled, really soft to the touch, like you would eat them. You can also use canned beans for just convenience purposes.
Shortcut. You do want to strain them before you put them on the bowl and then dump them into the oil.
Yeah, so these are completely strained. So you just dump them right into the oil.
Mix it around a little bit, make sure that the oil covers everything. Just kind of let them roast for a little bit longer. The pepper just kind of hangs out in there, giving it a little bit of that jalapeno flavor. And again, we just left one slice in there. If you want to leave all of the slices, if you want to add more than one jalapeno, whatever you're feeling, sounds good.
So as soon as the beans start absorbing all the oils and the flavor of the chile, you can get a masher. We call it a bean masher, but you can use anything that, like a fork or something you feel comfortable with at a distance to mash up the beans. And you want to do this in the pan.
And we would recommend lowering the heat once it gets to the point where you're going to mash them. You don't want everything to evaporate or else you're going to end up with dry refried beans. So after you dump the boiled beans in there, let them kind of simmer for, I don't know, a little bit less than a minute. Then lower the heat, and then that's when you can start mashing. You really just can get them to the consistency that you want. But what we really are looking for here is that they are still somewhat moist and spreadable, because that is going to be the base of our layering in the sope. So it is important that you just don't dry them out. Don't keep them on a high heat for too long.
Some people do add water, like if they end up drying out a little bit too much, or I didn't use as much oil, you can always just add a little bit of water when they're done.
Or while you're mashing, just to kind of get it to that consistency, but just little bits at a time, like we are doing here. We should probably use a little bit more oil, but they're still good to go. Just a little bit more water. All right, we're just going to put them in here and just set them aside for later when we're ready to top the sopes. Just a little bit.
All right, that's
Maybe
good.
don't use a stainless steel bowl that is hot.
Okay, so here we have, so also important tip, after you've finished making your dough, you can let it rest for about like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, just so that it comes together nicely. So I can give you some here. We're gonna start shaping the sopes. So I'm just gonna reuse this pan. You don't need to put oil in the pan that you're going to be making your sopes in. Some people like it a little bit more fried. We're not gonna use oil in this instance, but it's really up to you. And you're gonna want it in medium high heat. You don't want the masa to burn too quickly. So shape it in a little ball. There. And then you use like your fingers to make it into the disc. You want it a little bit thick. So I would say, yeah, I don't,
About half an inch?
I can't give you an
It's
inch,
not like a centimeter.
but as thick as you want it. So you don't want it too thin. Obviously, way thicker than a tortilla. But you may need to make sure that you do make some thickness because you're going to be pinching up into a disc once it's cooked, and you need to make sure you have enough masa. So let me actually make it this one a little bit.
Yeah,
thicker.
this one's a little guy. We have babies. We have baby size soap.
Here.
Or maybe I'll just add a little bit more.
And you can make these any size. You can make baby sopes. You can make huge sopes. These are so fun. Like we have so many memories eating with our family. I don't know why these excite us so much when we get home and our aunt says that she's making sopes. It's just
Kind of like you're a kid playing with Play-Doh. Like, who wouldn't want to do that?
yeah, and the assembly of it is really fun. Everybody kind of does their own version. This version actually doesn't have any meat, but you can totally add meat to it. The refried beans are really filling. The masa is very filling. It's a really satisfying meal. So, okay, this is better. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm showing it to you. And what we're gonna do is put it in the medium-high heat. Again, you don't need to add oil, but you can if you want. And you can hear it sizzle right away. What you're looking for is probably like 3 to 5 minutes on each side. You're gonna look for a golden brown to each side because the purpose of it cooking this thick is that it's very malleable, so that you can form the barrier around when it's warm. So if you want to just throw that out there. Here we go.
Mine's smaller than yours.
We already have some magically made. And this is what they look like. You want to bring it up to the camera?
Yeah.
Just so you can show on both sides.
Let's get up close and personal. Oh my God. That's the cactus. This is what the sope looks like. It looks like just like a little disc.
So it's brown significantly, and there's little toast marks. So you can work with it right when they come off of that, but you need to really be careful because it's super hot. So you can wait a little bit. I'm just gonna put some hot water because we waited a little bit too long. And you're forming your disc. So you're pinching from the center and pinching to the outside. You don't want to wait too long because it does get difficult to pinch and then it doesn't form as you want. So you can take this up there.
Yours is better than mine. So close up again. So you can see it's kind of pinched in from the inside, and it's got just a little bit of a barrier to it. So that way any toppings don't just kind of roll off. The whole point of a sopa is that you can just layer as many things as you want inside. So it does have a little bit of that going on. Oh, yep.
So these finish.
everything.
So the next step in the recipe is our molcajete, which is this is a molcajete, and this is what you use to grind. If you don't have one of these, very understandable. This has been in my family for a very, very long time. I actually snuck this one away from, I think, my mom, and she had to get another one because I love this one so much. But the more you use it, the more flavors get into the pores. It's really amazing to have. But if you don't have one, I do have a blender version of this same salsa. So in the recipe, I have 2 cloves. Garlic cloves. I always roast these first because you don't want to over roast them. They get very like gelatinized and almost too acidic. So you just really want to toast them. Again, medium-high heat, no oil needed. You just put them on the pan and until they're lightly browned on both sides. And then chiles. I put in the recipe that you can use 3 jalapenos for 5 tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. That's the measurement that we use at home because we really like a really spicy salsa. Sometimes we put in a different spicier salsa, pepper that's called a serrano pepper. You can also find in the grocery store very easily. Just depends on what kind of spice you want. You can trade out, 2 of these for 1 of the serranos. Feel free to use whatever other peppers you like in flavor. But this is my favorite. This salsa goes great in the morning with eggs. It goes great for lunch, for any meats. This is like a really good salsa to learn to start your salsa life. But with the garlic, you would just simply throw them in whole. A little bit of a trick is to poke holes into your pepper so that it's not popping out at you while it's getting hot inside. If I'm in a rush and I really want to make salsa on time, I do cut them into fourths and roast them like that. I do have pre-roasted everything because it does take some time.
And you really do want to give them time to roast completely through, just because it really is what brings the flavors out of the peppers and the tomato. So, and
also,
garlic.
Also for breaking the skin.
Close up.
That's the roasted peppers. You really want everything pretty squishy.
Squish.
Sorry. And then,
so we got these boys here.
Okay, so if you're doing this in a blender, it's the same order. I always like to throw in my salts. This is a pinch of salt that's going into the molcajete, and this would go together with a really roasted garlic. This one's not roasted all the way, but you would leave it in for longer so it's soft. And we break it up. In the blender, you could throw in the salt with the garlic first, just like 1 or 2 pulses, just to break it up and have that flavor, your base. And then some people have an order, like sometimes I like to break up the peppers first because the skin seems to be a little bit harder to break up. If you throw in the tomatoes first, then you can't get into through the liquids to break up the peppers. So I always like to do the peppers first. And the reason you always want more tomatoes than peppers is because there's so many juices in the tomato. That's what makes the salsa. And this is it. These are all the ingredients to a really nice molcajete-style salsa. You can toss them. Throw them all in. All of them? Yeah. There we go. And in the blender, a few pulses too, like the cool thing about the molcajete is that it gives you like a chunky consistency. You can definitely get that in the blender too. So you don't want to completely liquefy everything, because the flavors of the roasted vegetables while you're eating on top of something else are really, really delicious. So I'm going to keep blending this. If you want to get started on the drink, or should we assemble the sope? Yeah. We'll start with the assembly of the sope then, and then by the time we're finished that, the last thing that goes on top is the salsa. The first thing are the beans.
So we've got these little guys here. First up are the beans. So we're just gonna layer on, and everything from here on out really is whatever you're feeling. We do like to do the beans first, just so it creates a nice base. You can add as much or as little as you want. Just kind of spread them in there.
Yeah, and ideally, the beans could be as soupy or as not soupy as you want them to be in the sope. Then, probably the lechuga.
All right, so next, we're going to do a little bit of lechuga, a little bit of lettuce. Some people use, what do you say, cabbage, shredded cabbage. But lettuce is really more of the classic. Again, whatever you're into.
And then on top of the beans is where you can choose to add potatoes if it's like a breakfast sope, or lunch. Potatoes mixed with chorizo is something that we do here at the restaurant. Not on a sope, but in other ways. You could totally incorporate whatever meat. If it's, again, for chorizo. Yeah. And I mean, we've seen it with every meat possible. Everything tastes good.
Right. Next,
we have to slice a tomato. And the queso fresco first. I said there was an order in the recipe. You can follow it, but it really doesn't matter how you put it all together. Some people are very particular, some are not. But next, we're just putting the queso fresco. The most important part is the base is the beans and the lettuce, or else everything gets too weird to bite into.
all right. So I've got queso fresco. I'm going to cut one of these.
And then next, you can put the tomato. So big slice of tomato.
Got a bigger knife.
No matter how much I grind this salsa, if I'm eating with family, my dad still insists on grinding it even more. Everybody has their own taste, but it's never ground enough for him. But he is so good at doing this. He has much stronger forearms, I guess.
All right, we got a really nice looking avocado here. That's also just another topper. So a couple slices for each one. Solid arms by the time you're done grinding.
Yeah, the blender is a lot faster.
Blender's faster, easier to manage, but you can't beat the molcajete flavor. They've got about 2 slices for each one. You can add a whole half avocado if you're really feeling it. But we're gonna stick to 2. You're done. If I can get these off of here, that would be nice.
Sour cream is optional. You can always add that to. Actually, goes with the tomato.
You said there was no order.
There isn't an order.
Little dollops.
And then the final touch to our sopes. You want to hold the tray?
Yeah.
So it's very chunky. Again, like I said, don't pulse it all the way. Don't pulse it all the way in the blender. You really want to get those really chunky bites of the vegetables. You do want to make sure, that's why you do the garlic in the beginning first, because you don't want to bite into the garlic too much. People don't mind. And there that is.
Good. All right, up close. We've got sopes. So again, you can add or take away whatever you want. If you feel like putting some cilantro on there, that's nice. If you want a different type of salsa, but let's see. Let me see if I can pick this up without dropping it. But you know, these are super fun to make. If you've got kids in the house, they can just kind of, you know, do their own thing. It's really, really easy, meatless dinner if that's what you're into. And we are ready to go. All right. So next is a really quick and easy mezcal cocktail. You can get whichever mezcal is available to you. There really is no preference. So what I do have here then, for a portion of 2 beverages, right here. Just set up a little bit. So what I'm going to do first is, I've got right here the sal de gusano, which is what we're going to use to rim the cups first. Sal de gusano is what it sounds like. It is worm salt. I know that throws a lot of people off that aren't familiar with it. Mezcal and worm salt usually go hand in hand. If you don't have this available, then you can just use whatever like salt, chili powder combination that you like. There are more mild options, more spicy options. Some people use tajin if you're familiar with that. But sal de gusano is really interesting because it is the worm that lives in the agave plant, which I think is always really interesting because, you know, you are drinking a beverage that's made from the same plant, and that is what that worm feeds off of. So the worms are essentially then picked from the agave plant. They're dried and ground into a really fine powder and then mixed with salt and chili peppers. It depends on what region of Mexico you get this from, which peppers are used. So you will still pick up on that smoky flavor because of the worm, but it's not as bad as it sounds. If you like the smokiness of mezcal, it really just pairs beautifully. So that's what we're going to use to rim the cups. So I do have just a little bit here. It is very coarse. We're just going to put it on the plate. And then we're going to use one of the fresh limes to smaller plates, but I don't. We're just going to squeeze some fresh lime juice.
The recipe, I say very juicy limes.
Good luck finding those. But usually I feel like the ones with a softer skin when you go to the store and feel them out are the ones that are juicier. The ones with a really coarse skin have a ways to go.
Sometimes if they're not juicy enough, we know right away by holding it. So we'll throw it on the ground, smash it up, or like roll it between our hands to just release all those juices.
Or if you don't want to, throw limes on the ground, you can just do it on a table, take the whole lime and just kind of like roll it around, just kind of release the juices. It works. I think it works. So we're just going to flip these guys over, get some lime juice on the rim, and then we're going to just put the sal de gusano on the edges. That looks good. And then, yep, the other one. Meantime, so what we're gonna do is take our mezcal. Hopefully you guys have a nice shaker at home. We forgot ours, but we've got these big drinking mixing cups, which will do the trick. So we're just gonna add everything into the mixing cups. We've got 2 shots of mezcal right here.
Yay! Yo quiero una.
Someone's excited about the mezcal. I know I am. All right, so we've got 2 nice shots. Add a 3rd one because quarantine. 1, 2. And then we've got 1 cup of pineapple juice. I ended up just using the little cans of pineapple juice, whichever you find. If you got a nicer one, go for it. And then we're gonna squeeze 1 lime. Can you help me with 1/2? 1 lime, or actually 2 limes.
This is a recipe for 2 drinks.
So we would do 2 limes. You could do 1 if you really, you could always add it at the end if you feel like it needs a little bit more citrus, but you are already getting a good amount from the pineapple juice.
This drink was inspired from a wedding we went to in December in Mexico. Our cousin got married and they were making these drinks and we just fell in love.
So good.
Mezcal is pretty versatile. I think it goes well with any pulpy fruit. I've made it with guava, it's really pulpy. Mango juice is really nice too. And all of those, again, with the smokiness of the mezcal and the salt, the worm salt, it's just so good. Again, you don't need to have worm salt to get that smokiness from the mezcal, but it's a nice touch.
I have an English cucumber. I prefer these just because they're a little less seedy than the regular ones. These are more or less just for a garnish, but if the drink does sit long enough, which hopefully it doesn't, it does pick up on the cucumber notes, which just adds a little extra something to it. So I have a peeler, and I already got started a little bit, but all this really is for is to line the inside of the, maybe you'll get good slices, to line the inside of the cup. Also just looks nice. There we go. Struggle. Help me with a few more of these. So while she gets those going, I am going to get the pineapple garnish as well. So I just have just a regular size pineapple. I already went ahead and peeled it. What I'm going to do is just kind of cut it in half carefully. And we really just want little triangle wedges. Again, just for garnish to just kind of put on the edge of the cup. Or eat it along with your cocktail.
We're going to start by lining the inside. This is all aesthetically pretty. You can put the cucumber on top if you really want to, but this just makes it extra nice. And to get the cucumber to soak up all the alcohol.
You can just eat it at the end, and it's delicious.
So there's a lined cup. There's the ice.
All right, so got both of them. Down. All right, so in the cocktail cup, I'm just gonna add a little bit of ice just to kind of chill it, get that going. Just gonna add it to the cup as well. well. If you had a shaker, kind of shake it. If not, we're going to do this until the flavors are incorporated a little bit. That smells really good.
You can use tequila if you can't find mezcal. I have had a hard time finding it in the past, or like an affordable bottle. Some liquor stores have just a few varieties, but if you want to replace it with a good tequila, I recommend reposado tequila, not so much the silver tequila. You can find those anywhere.
All right, so we've got the cucumber line inside, just a couple ice cubes, and then we're just going to pour this guy in. Don't fill it up all the way because we are going to top it off with a little bit of mineral water just to kind of finish it off. So that's probably good. That's also, I mean, however much mineral water you want to add. I'm not a huge fan, but I know others are. You can get whichever. I have Topo Chico here, or you can just get, you know, generic brand at the store. Top it off a little bit. Top it off a little bit. Little bubblies. And then we just have a little pineapple garnish on each one. There we go. Yeah.
Happy
Cheers.
Cinco de Mayo.
Wait, can I?
Well, you can drink it.
I can drink it. She can't. There's a baby in there. But I spilled, but it's really good. Some people also could add a little bit of agave. I have seen added to drinks if you prefer something that's a little sweeter. But with the combination of the smokiness of the salt and the mezcal, plus the citrus, I feel like it's bright enough to just leave on its own. But you can definitely add a little bit of liquid sweetener if you really would want that for your drink. Yeah. All right.
This is the final view of everything we made. The sopes
All right,
and
close
mezcal
up.
to make your Cinco de Mayo a little better at home. Let's see here. And also, everything we make at the cafe restaurant is inspired by our family. Both our mother and father side of the family have been involved with food and drink and beverage, desserts since we were little girls, and everything that we share does come from very, very, very valuable memories. So everything has a meaning, and we are so excited that you all are so interested in knowing how to make any of these little treats.
Yes, so I think that we can go ahead and look into the questions that you guys might have. So I'm going to open up the chat here, and we will get to everybody. So just bear with us on, I guess, trying to figure out. Oh, hello, everyone. Let's see where the first question is.
And feel free to unmute yourself now. We're looking for questions, if there are any.
I know, lots of hellos. So hello to everyone. We're really excited that you're here. I didn't realize that we could see everybody's faces while we were standing here, so that's awesome. Thank you for taking your time to come check us out. Let me see.
What are the children's books on the shelf?
What?
Oh, we just saw that. I just saw that one.
Yeah.
What are the children books on the shelves?
Oh, so they are, and then we can grab a couple. They are something that we sell in store. It's a brand called Lil Libros. So they are bilingual children's books. They're very cute. And I selected a couple of these titles. Hopefully we do get more in, just, you know, understandably so. A lot of things are backed up. One of them, for example, that has been a favorite is this one here, La Catrina. So it does say that it's usually like ages 0 to 3, but you know, most little kids are just excited about seeing pictures, and it does have just simple explanations. This one's really cute, and it goes through emotions. So I don't know, I'll open to the first one. It's loved, and in Spanish, amada. So it is a really cute intro to teaching your kids Spanish in a really simple, colorful way. So these are here for you guys. Oh, I see Celine has one. I sent one over to one of my good friends in Colorado for her little girl. She's 2.5, and she's definitely got a head start on being bilingual.
Oh, she loves it.
Yes, yes. More to come on the way. Thank you.
Next question, do you ever use onion or cilantro in the salsa? I think occasionally, just depending on what type of salsa. There are so many. One that we do use onion and cilantro in at the cafe that is available. We are doing takeout is the avocado salsa. Something like that would take on cilantro flavor really well. We don't use it too much, but that's just us. It's not necessarily because we don't like it. I think onion, it's common. There was a salsa I was gonna do, but I added the onion because it required another ingredient that is a little acidic, and the roasted onion was gonna kind of help it out. It just depends on what flavor you're going for. You cannot go wrong with adding onion or cilantro in a salsa, really.
Okay, so next question. If you use canned beans, do you still boil them? The answer is no. They are already that soft consistency to where it would be as if like after you had already boiled them. What you still do want to do is put them in the frying pan with just a little bit of cooking oil. Do we usually have a preference on what oil we use?
No, just a very base, I can't think of the word, something that doesn't, like olive oil, I wouldn't recommend. I would use like vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, something like that.
And then so from the can, and those, I don't believe you need to strain them. Some people just throw them in there with the juice that's already in the can. And then just make sure that the oil is already hot. And if you want to put the jalapeno in there already roasted, you can. If not, it's not necessary. But yeah, definitely frying them just to get them to that spreadable consistency is good. Let's see.
How long will this stay fresh?
So how long will the sopes stay fresh? Can you make a big batch and use them over a few days?
Yes, definitely. Probably, I would say, as like, again, I always compare it to a tortilla. So if you were gonna make your own handmade tortillas, they are good in the refrigerator. You just wanna seal them up really well. If you're gonna stick them in for more than 3 days. I don't think we've ever gone more than 3 days with sopes in the fridge, just because they do start to stale really fast. So I would say 3 days is the max.
3 days tops for sure.
And we usually, by sealing up, I mean in paper and in a sealed container, not in plastic.
All right. Jennifer, I put chorizo on mine. Yummy. Yeah, that's a good one. That's always just like such a breakfast staple, but you can have chorizo any time of the day.
Eggs with it.
Oh,
so
eggs and
good.
chorizo. Getting hungry. Or nopales.
Or cactus,
Cactus, whichever, anything your heart desires. Let's see. Would we be able to watch the video after this?
We're hoping to add it to our Instagram page and our Facebook page, or we'll let you know how we post it, but we do want to, or actually, it's already been answered. You can go on gnionline.com next week, and all of the other workshops, including ours, are on there. So on their website as well.
Yeah, so the Girls Night In online, which was used to register, that's where it will be posted next week. Let's see here. Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
somebody asked the tequila question.
Oh, let's see. Can you sub with tequila? Yes, you can. We did already briefly touch on that. Oh, was Celine. Hi, Celine. Cute with the cucumber, yes. And it's just such a fun party favor, I would say, just if you are having guests over. It just, you know, those little touches of a garnish really add to the drink itself. So it's really, really tasty. Let's see here. Still going through. I think we've gotten, oh, Miss Pam, when and how do you use chipotle? What other juices do you like for a margarita? For example, passion fruit, watermelon, etc. So let's see, chipotle pepper.
I think that's another thing that it's up to you with flavor. Chipotle again, my opinion is going to be different than my sister's opinion, than my mother's opinion on Chipotle, because of I think it's very sweet. It's like a tanginess. We do make a really good Chipotle-based chicken here called chicken tinga, and that's Chipotle based. It's a sweeter note. You could definitely use it in there, in the beans or in the molcajete. It just depends on how you buy Chipotle. Sometimes you find it's a dry pepper, or there is canned Chipotle peppers that are usually in an adobo sauce that are wet. So it really just depends on how you're going to use it.
That also, I feel like, is a really particular flavor. Again, with the whole smoky vibe that like the mezcal and the sal de gusano have, I feel that a chipotle pepper has definitely more of that aftertaste. So it's not for everyone. If it is something that you like, it is really interesting to use in food. A classic like Mexican recipe is chicken tinga on tostadas. And it's just super easy to just incorporate when shredded chicken. It's nice and moist and pick up like the sweet notes of the chipotle pepper.
Yeah, like if you want to substitute it with the peppers and the salsa, if you're doing it in the blender, that would be fine. I would have to pay attention. You would have to pay attention to the consistency of the skin of the chipotle in the can, because I don't know too much. But that's it. As long as you can shred it up, blend it, mash it, it's really good.
Ooh, and other juices for a margarita, passion fruit watermelon. I feel like you can't go wrong with fruit juices, in my opinion.
And that's what I said in earlier, that anything pulpy goes really well with mezcal or tequila, just because of the viscosity of it. I think that's also why you use agave too, just because it makes it thicker. It makes it just so much nicer with the ice, and the lime does have so much acidity that you do kind of want to.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to keep
that.
it simple, strawberry is also a really good go-to, or mango if you want to do something that's a little bit different.
Thank you again. Thank you.